There we go. Good evening, you guys. I am so excited to bring to you tonight some amazing information that's going to help you through these next, 6 weeks into the holidays, being around people, all the food that we're going to be eating, all the sugary snacks and everything. And I've got some amazing speakers lined up for us this evening. Dr. Elizabeth will be on here in just a minute, which is just fine because Miss Jody's got a lot she wants to share as well. Jody and I have been friends since elementary school, if you can believe that. And Jody has just really progressed through the traditional medicine lifestyle. She's a microbiologist. Um, and she has gone a more holistic route now that she has seen really behind the scenes as kind of a blood science person in looking at the different ways that the blood can migrate, and I'm using terms that I really am not 100% sure on. So, Jody is going to clarify me on that. But Jody was so excited. She and Dr. Elizabeth were two of the people that stepped up first to talk about the immune system. And it's such a vital time right now. I'm coming personally off of, I had 2 really bad days of the illness that's going around right now. I'd gone out of town, went to a convention, forgot to take my supplements while I was there, even though I pre-packaged all of them, and came home from Orlando with fever, chills, body ache, everything. And then Thursday, my husband went down. So from Tuesday to Thursday, 3 days. So, Miss Jody, you were so excited to talk tonight, and I'm so excited to hear your knowledge on this. Can you tell me why you were excited and what your program is for this evening to educate everyone?
Well, I get excited just really talking about the gut. So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on because that is the central of our immune system. So, um, yeah, I want to talk about the gut and then the things that I do to help my gut. So is that okay if am I on rolling?
You just go ahead and
All
roll.
right. Okay, thanks, Tina. Being a microbiologist and working in healthcare in the laboratory for 30 plus years, that's hence my reason for wanting to focus on the gut microbiome. But first, I want to mention that we also have microbiome that actually starts on the outside of our body. So it's on our skin. We have a microbiome in our nose, in our mouth, in our eyes, we even in our ears. We have a respiratory tract that has its own microbiome. Our urinary tract has its own microbiome, and our reproductive system has its own microbiome. So we have lots of different microbiomes, and our microbiome is really a microbial layer. So what that means is it is a layer of microorganisms. What are microorganisms? Bacteria, viruses, yeast, fungus, all those kinds of things. So these are here to protect us. These are our good guys that are here for the defense for our bodies and to help us against illness. So they are part of our immune system. And all of the microorganisms that live in and on us, they're there for a reason. So we need those. It's a layer of protection that alerts our next layer of our immune system to get ready for a potential intruder. So, they communicate with each other. And the purpose of this communication is so that the body can start to kind of ramp up. So let's say maybe Tina, maybe you got sneezed on in the plane or something like that, or some other kind of skin contact that you might have had with a quote unquote intruder that on your skin microbiome would communicate then with your next level of defense to alert that, hey, we have a possible intruder here. And for our skin, then, when we use antimicrobial soaps and hand sanitizers, we are killing off that precious layer of protection. We need that layer of protection. So, that leaves us susceptible to illnesses and diseases. If our skin microbiome isn't there and it can't communicate, that maybe we have a potential intruder, if that layer's not there. So for the other microbiomes in our body, first we need to consider that our bodies are 70% water by weight. So all the cells are floating in water, our immune system, everything's floating in water. Our lymphatic system is 95%, the lymphatic fluid is 95% water. Every cell, our immune system is floating in water, extracellular fluid. So we need to ask ourselves, what's the quality of fluid that your cells are floating in? Are they in a nice, clean environment so they're happy and they can work for us? If they're in a clean environment, they want to fight for us. But if we don't have a nice, clean environment for them to work in, then they actually work against you and they start to break things down. So we need to look at the environment of our cells and the immune system. They're all floating in. What are they floating in? So things like, what is our water source? We need good, clean water. Obviously, we're not doing tap water or bottled water. We need a good filter. So personally, we have a Berkey water filtration system in our house, and we've used that for the last 5+ years. So we've got to have good, clean water. Then we need to look at our food and our supplementation. So these definitely affect our gut microbiome. So what are you eating? Are we eating preserved, packaged foods? So preservatives means nothing's going to grow in there, right? That's potentially nothing is supposed to grow in there. That means it's antimicrobial, which means it has pesticides, it's bug killer. That's what's in that stuff so that it doesn't grow mold. You're not going to buy it off the shelf if it has mold. We're eating that. So when we are eating that pesticide bug killer, what is that doing to our microbiome? That's killing our microbiome. So take a look at your diet. Are you eating a lot of processed foods? And if you do, we need to take care and feed our body organic fruits and vegetables and grass-fed meats and, and supplements, which I'll talk about in just a bit. But, our bodies are temple and we need to treat it like that. So back on that immune system, I was reading an article the other day by Dr. Mark Aman, who's one of the physicians that I follow. And he was talking about the fact that our white blood cells, which are part of our immune system, are produced in our bone marrow. So they're produced there, they mature to a point there, and then they're released into circulation where they get into our gut. So it's in the gut that these white cells get trained. They get trained because that's what fights for us in our body. So specifically in what they call Peyer's patches, which are lymphatic tissues in the gut. I know that's technical. We don't have to worry about that. But, so we're getting to this nitty gritty of why the environment of our gut matters. If our white blood cells are trained in the gut on how they're there to fight and protect us, what do you think that means about the environment of our gut? If we have a really dysfunctional gut, your immune system starts to become dysfunctional in relation to how bad your gut is. So, our gut microbiome is the basis of all of our other microbiomes. So they get trained in the gut, then they go to all those other areas that I talked about that have their own microbiome. So if our gut microbiome, where they're being trained, if that's off, then all your other microbiomes are going to be off. So maybe things like at the skin level, that might mean like, do we have eczema, rashes, acne? Those are signs that something is wrong in the gut. So we have to fix the gut in order for these conditions to really go away. Topicals are not going to help. We've got to really go fix the gut. If your gut's a mess, of course, your skin's going to have problems because your skin has its own microbiome, and that microbiome is supplied or fed or trained in that gut. When the microbiome of your gut is bad, your skin microbiome is going to be bad. So, what else could that mean for us for our other microbiome? Do we have allergies or chronic sinus infections, chronic, ear infections or bronchitis or chronic sore throats? All of those things are signs that our gut microbiome is not good because, if it's not good, all those other microbiomes that are being trained in that gut, again, going out to their own microbiome. If the gut's not good, they're not sending out our good little troopers for us. So, we got to make sure that gut microbiome is healthy. So, instead of, for me, that whole focus for me always goes to the gut. If that gets off, we have a constant inflammatory response. So an off or imbalance in our microbiome equals inflammation, equals conditions, eczemas, chronic allergies, urinary tract infections, vaginosis. It could be prostatitis in men. So all those things we need to fix. We need to fix the gut first. So, how do we fix the gut? We talked about having a good water source. That is super important. Also, how much water are you consuming every day? I don't know, general rule of practice, just because I've been doing this for the last 10 years. I know we have to have at least half of our body weight in ounces of water. It needs to be water, not anything made with water. It needs to be water. So if you're 150 pounds, you need 75 ounces of good quality water every day. Talked about a little bit about, quality of food and nutrition. Your body's your temple. Treat it that way. Several years ago, I had the privilege to listen to Dr. Justin, who was a speaker that I used to follow when I lived in Des Moines. And I remember him telling us, because everybody would say, tell me what to eat. Tell me what to eat. I don't know what to eat. And he said, I'm going to tell you a really easy way to remember this. You eat God food. If you can't grow it and you can't raise it, you don't eat it. And that just clicked with me. If it's not something you can get out of the ground or from an animal or from a tree, then we don't consume it. Another thing I wanted to throw in here was a few years ago when I was thinking of getting out of healthcare and trying to figure out insurance and things like that. I actually checked into a Christian-based insurance, health insurance for myself and my husband. And I was really, it made me feel good that they don't cover medications for things like type 2 diabetes or obesity or hypertension or high cholesterol, because they consider those lifestyle illnesses, meaning that, we caused them ourselves by our lifestyle, but our eating, by our lack of movement, by, those are lifestyle issues. So they won't cover the prescriptions for those. And you actually have to pay an extra fee every month until you can get your numbers into an acceptable range. So I thought that was kind of cool. And a side note I wanted to throw in there. But another thing, for our gut and our other microbiomes is we have to move. We got to move. We got to exercise. Our lymph doesn't have its own pump system. We need to move so that it can move. This is how we can, things flow through our body. So if we don't move, our joints actually get dry when they're not used. They need movement to keep lubricated, and your digestion needs you to move. So our bodies were not meant to sit all day, And then the last thing I'll touch on gut microbiome, on how we need to get that healthy or maintain its health is the supplementation, which is why I love this company. Good quality supplementation is a must. We already know we're not getting the level of nutrients that our body needs. We live in a time when we're exposed to a constant barrage of toxins, EMF, poor quality food, poor quality air, water. It's like our body's in constant battle, just trying to survive, constantly dodging and ducking, HBN provides us with great quality, third-party tested organic supplements. So I really just kind of want to touch on a few of the supplements I use daily. I know Dr. Elizabeth is going to cover some too, but other than organic fruits and vegetables that we need to consume in our diet, things I include, my favorites are the Healing Trilogy, the Mind, Body, Soul. Those are great greens, works on inflammation of your brain, your cardiovascular system, and your liver. Love those, made out of organic fruits and vegetables. Nourish is another one that I use every day. Complete nutrition from greens. It has immune system support, mental and physical energy. It will help boost that. Allergy support because it's natural, antihistamines and anti-inflammatories. It has omegas 3, 6, 7, and 9, and is pH balanced. So it's rich in organic grasses, veggies, and sprouts, and they're aimed at neutralizing the damaging acids in the body. Another one of my favorites that I drink every day is the Vitality. And I don't feel like my system works if I don't have my Vitality every day. It's a powerful detox tea, and helps with elimination of undigested waste in your colon. So talk about something great for your gut, your microbiome, and your immune system. Vitality is one of my top ones. The other thing I drink every day, I love my Nova coffee. I had given up coffee years ago, and am loving that I get to have my coffee back. It has ashwagandha and other, nootropic adaptogens in it. So great for the brain. I love that. And what I do in the morning is I make my Nova coffee and I add my Nourish to that. So that kind of gives it its chocolate and sweetener, kind of like a nice little treat in the morning. And the last thing I want to talk about were the minerals, because I think those are super important. And HBN's minerals are angstrom minerals. So they are the smallest minerals that are actually, they can actually pass through the cell membrane. And I did another talk, I think, with Tina about that, about the size of that and how they can get directly into the cell where they're needed. So they're taken sublingual, which means they go under your tongue. And fulvic acid is one of those: zinc, chromium, magnesium, silver, iron, and potassium. So those are great additions.
Absolutely.
We need to add those, as we're not getting those things in our soil. So those are my top 5, and then the ones that Dr. Elizabeth is going to talk about.
Yeah, it was kind of a struggle to figure out who was going to talk about what, because HBN has got so many products that are so great for the immune system, just overall health. And if you have overall health, you have overall wellness, right? And so Jody, thank you so much, coming from a scientist like you, and adding that validation to the products is so incredible. And Dr. Elizabeth and I have had many conversations this week about how to effectively and give her an introduction that she's worthy of. She's absolutely an amazing person. I'm just so excited to introduce her. She's got many different modalities. She is a holistic chiropractor. She heals energetically, nutritionally. She's extensively trained in a variety of healing modalities, including applied kinesiology, autonomic response. Did I say that right?
That's all right. Let's just get on to the good stuff. Let's talk about how to use some of the stuff here.
All right, you go, girl, because I'm so excited to hear from you. This is Dr. Elizabeth's first time on a Diva call, and if y'all can blow up the chat and just let her know how much we appreciate her for stepping up and sharing her hidden gem knowledge with the rest of us. So, Dr. Elizabeth, go ahead. You've got the floor, and you've got a couple more minutes than what I told you originally.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here. I want to give you a couple of practical applications using the HBN product line that you can use daily to help support your system for prevention, but also for treatment if you do become symptomatic. I do want to say that getting sick is not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of depending on what kind of circles that you run in with, there's kind of sometimes this expectation that if you're doing everything right, you should never get sick. And if you get sick, you're doing something wrong and you didn't do this or you did too much of that. And honestly, the body expressing the symptoms of what we call illness is the body expressing health. Illness symptoms are the body's way of detoxing and cleansing. So though we do like to use things that are antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, and support the immune system and the terrain and infectious piece of it, also come from a mindset of, hey, my body has in its infinite wisdom chosen this time to cleanse and purge and renew. So I'm also going to support it that way as well. And HBN has a number of different products that can help you with that. The first one I'm going to talk about is the black seed oil or the black seed extract. I learned years ago that the nickname for Nigella sativa, its kind of hashtag was cures everything but death. And that's because it has a wealth of phytochemicals and properties to it that have a very broad range of function. And we've had other talks before about some of the aspects for cardiovascular and degenerative health and things like that. But this is a great powerhouse for both immune system and respiratory health. So you can take it daily to help support those systems. But I wanted to talk about a couple of things and a couple ways to do that, both prevention and treatment. So one of the things I like to do is, have you guys heard of I think it's called the Pachodi method, where you put a substance in your belly button because there's such a high amount of vasculature there that it gets things into the body really quickly. So you can drop a couple of drops of this into your navel every day or night. Easy way to get it to kids, because this one, flavor profile wise, might be a little tricky for some of our kiddos, but you can put this in the belly button as a way to administer it. And during acute illness, you could do this like a drop every 2 to 3 hours. I'm kind of a big proponent of lots of frequent microdosing of products during acute illness. So like I will use this with essential oils and a carrier oil, essential oils such as eucalyptus, oregano, peppermint, melaleuca, or tea tree is another one of my favorite ones. You can kind of combine all of this together. Because this isn't an oily base, you probably wouldn't even need a carrier oil for your essential oils. You can mix that all together and rub it into the navel, rub the rest of it, or add some more, put it on the bottom of the feet, take those oils and your black seed oil, rub it down the spine, and repeat every 2 to 4 hours that someone is awake during acute illness to help support with that. You could use a little bit of this with the grape seed carrier oil and the respiratory blends all over the lung field, because this is a fabulous oil to support lung health. It has antihistamine properties. So when we're having those symptoms of congestion and coughing and watery eyes and all of the copious amounts of snot, this will be something that can help modulate both the inflammatory reaction that's happening and the histamine reaction that's happening. So I love the black seed oil. Another way to use it to help with cough would be to add a couple drops to Manuka honey. And we don't carry Manuka honey, but Manuka honey, of course, is a very, very powerful immune system and antimicrobial remedy. So make your own kind of little cough syrup with Manuka honey, some of this. If you're okay with doing oils internally, you could also add a couple of essential oils in there too, down the hatch. The nice thing about natural medicine is that it's safe and it's effective. And what makes it so much different from over-the-counter and prescription is that, you take something OTC or prescription and you got to wait 4, 8, 12 hours before you can dose again. So, your symptoms aren't any better. Well, you're stuck, because otherwise you might get a racing heartbeat, or her blood pressure might raise or something like that. With natural medicine, we can modulate doses. We can do things more frequently, follow the path that the body's going through symptom-wise, and help give it the support it needs as it's doing its job of processing things and moving things out. Cypress, by the way, is my favorite essential oil to help. It's the oil of flow, so it's a great essential oil to assist the body in moving things out when it's going through a cleansing or a detoxification. Of course, with all of these, as Jody mentioned, you want to be really well hydrated. The water in your body helps to make everything work better. And speaking of something that helps make everything work better, our fulvic acid is like the big thing that helps make everything work better. Fulvic acid is known very strongly for increasing the absorption of everything else that is put with it. So vitamins, minerals, other nutrients. So I love doing the fulvic acid. Of course, this also has a lot of antimicrobial properties, antioxidant properties, anti-inflammatory properties, pre and probiotics, chelating properties. So for me, these two just by themselves are huge. And this is of course, the drops especially are very kid friendly because they don't have really any taste. They don't need huge doses of this. So this is something else that you can do. For example, with acute illness, I might dose 3 drops of this and 1 drop of, and I'm kind of talking about for kids. So we could, titrate the doses up for adults, but 3 drops of this, 1 drop of this, like every 2 hours. And that way the body's getting little tiny amounts all throughout the day versus just, 2 or 3 doses a day. Because the body's asking and needing more support. let's keep the blood saturation of all the goodness in these things up at a higher level so that the body can do what it wants to do, and we can support it with it. Of course, this also has a lot of electrolytes in it. Electrolytes are really important during illness. So I think that was it as far as those two products. Like Jody, I love the minerals. You know, the silver is one I will do a lot more of during acute illness, along with magnesium and the zinc. The Sol is so great because it's alkalizing and lots of good nutrients in here. The Fulvic, of course, helps to alkalize the body as well. The Nourish is great. Vitality is great. The nice thing is that we've got so many products, and then we can add them all together. So we can make like some Vitality, add the black seed oil if you can tolerate the taste, add the Fulvic, add the minerals, have it all together into a nice, very absorbable, easy to get in type of concoction to help the body with getting quicker, better, quicker, and faster and more completely. Oh, one other thing I want to say about the black seed is that currently in PubMed, there are 18 studies on this, not black seed oil, and the virus that shall not be named. So it's a big deal because again, it's working on the multitude of things that this virus does that cause different symptoms in the body. It can bind up things that were not currently here on the planet before that are contributing to illness, kind of like proteins that are kind of spiky. The antihistamine properties, some people when they get the vid have a lot of migraine pain. This is a huge migraine remedy, the black seed oil. I would apply it topically at the brainstem. I'd even maybe put a little bit at the bottom of the nostrils here, and you could combine it with the respiratory oils too, not only for congestion, but to also help with migraine pain. Great rubbed around the bones of the ear for ear pain, earache and pain. So, I mean, it's just such a great thing that we have black seed oil and the Fulvic and everything else we have. So I hope that was helpful and give you a couple of ways, different ways to use it. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to help answer.
We did have a couple questions. Thank you so much. And all of you, Dr. Elizabeth was very concerned about trying to fit something that she typically teaches over a weekend into a 12 to 15 minute spot. So we will definitely have her back. We'll have Jody back. So I have got a couple questions in the chat. One, and if you don't feel comfortable compliant wise answering this, just let me know, and I know how to get a hold of Grace and connect the two of you. What's a guideline on taking Fulvic and our minerals? Is it too much to take them all?
I think that's okay. How do I answer that? It could be. I mean, some people may not need all of the minerals, and they may not need all of the minerals all the time. And I practice very, very individualized type of medicines with the applied kinesiology. And so, you know, it's sometimes these types of questions are hard for me because I'm so used to dialing things down to a very individual level. But the nice thing about these minerals is because of the absorption and the size and the angstrom piece that they are better absorbed and better utilized. But is it potentially you could take too much of a good thing over time? Yeah, there is that potential. I'm always a little careful with silver, even though we may not have to be with the angstrom, and that may just be my old kind of training. But and zinc, I mean, people can get too much zinc, they can get too much iron. When you have too much of one mineral, especially if it works in synergy or as an antagonist to another mineral, you know, zinc and copper compete, iron and copper and zinc compete, and all of that. So it is good to at least have some way to occasionally reassess and make sure that you're not overdoing it in too many things.
Thank you. The next question was, would you put the Fulvic and BSO in the belly button as well?
You could try that. I'm not sure how well the Fulvic would absorb transdermally, but you definitely could try that. It's also a lot runnier than like the oil is, so it might be hard to keep it in there. You might want to take a tiny little bit of our powder instead and mix it and see. Of course, people do use fulvic, both this liquid and the powder, for things like baths and masks and foot soaks and things like that. So it does have some action going through the skin. You'd have to play with that. It might leave a little bit of a dark residue behind. I don't think it'll absorb completely like the oils will.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, thank you so much. It feels so good to be back in the Detox Diva seat. I've been kind of out of commission the past couple of weeks with travel and my own, the illness of the century, which only lasted 2 days when I got back on my magnesium, zinc, silver, fulvic, and black seed. The first day I felt like I had been hit by a truck. I had 2 blankets around me, never took my temperature, but it was fluctuating frequently with sweats and chills, body ache. Never lost my taste. Oddly enough, with me, the 3 times that I've had the illness, my smell and taste buds have been amplified.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of opposite like that. My husband, on the other hand, I can make him whatever and he can't taste it right now. So, he came down Thursday with it and has not been to work. And ladies, if you know the man flu when that enters your house, how that can be. So got the man flu going on. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this call. Dr. Elizabeth, Jody, thank you so much. We are so honored to have such amazing people on this team that are willing to step up and educate the masses. Without you, there wouldn't be the education of these different classes that we hold. So we did great on time. And I will get the recording posted here shortly. Coach Marcus will be doing his business opportunity. If this is something that you feel that you could share occasionally with friends and family to earn free product or maybe a little bit of extra money before Christmas, there is a business opportunity coming up here at the top of the hour. And it's oneteamonedreamhangout.com for that. And you can join that call and just let whoever invited you to this call know that you're interested in maybe taking that next step or even placing an order. So with that, I am going to end this call. Thank you all so much. So honored to be here with all of you. Thank you.